This podcast is brought to you by the Alien Soda Company, your connection to pop culture and paranormal-themed merch. AlienSodaCompany.shop for all things out of this world.
All right, on this episode of the Paranormal Mind Podcast, we are talking about the mysterious disappearance of D.B. Cooper.
Oh, I love it.
Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Paranormal Mind Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Yeah.
Anyway, what's going on, man?
Oh, living the dream.
Yeah, so what do we got coming up? I know we have next week I'll be in Wisconsin for the Potographs, Ripon, Wisconsin for the Potographs for Pooch's event, which Tim Miley, he's the one that heads that up. And the story behind why he started the charity is just awesome. Y'all need to really check that out. He was really in a dark time and his dog Murray saved him from that dark time. So he started this charity as a tribute to Murray because Murray passed away a few years ago.
Old age, I hope.
I believe so. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But so I'm doing that. Then the following week, I'll be at Great Lakes Paracon in Glenbeulah, I believe it is, Wisconsin. So to be me, Aaron Sagers, Dave Schrader, and a host of other people.
All the usual suspects.
Yep. And then the following week, we'll be at Deadwood.
Yes, sir.
South Dakota for a charity event for, what is it? The Sacred
Heart Retreat Center.
Sacred Heart Retreat Center is for veterans. So we're doing a charity event there, which, we're always wanting to support the veterans, wanting to support good charities and causes. So yeah, that's what we got going on.
Lots of filming.
Yeah, a lot of filming.
We got
Can you hear the excitement in our voice right now?
Man, it's just this year, man.
It's been busy, man.
Oh my gosh.
And then this month and next month is just so busy for me. Anyway.
Pressure is on.
Yeah, for a lot of things like filming, for podcasts, just for planning for next year. I mean, we're already planning things in the works for 2024 and doing some more searchers events, which we did. We just had an event in Louisiana, DeRidder, Louisiana at the Gothic Jail, which was a complete success.
Yeah,
it was really good.
Absolutely.
But we want to do more of those and we want to do them across the country where people in other parts of the country could take part and join us.
Yeah, somebody that was at the event said, okay, it's been over a year since y'all did an event, and they showed up to this one, and we were like, dang, man.
And it has. And you don't realize at the time.
But then we're like, we got to fix it.
You don't realize at the time how much time passes until it does. And it's been going so quick lately.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's already almost the end of the year, dude.
It's insane. December is just right around the corner.
But it's bizarre, dude. It really is.
We've been doing a lot.
All right. So, man, have you heard about this wild story of D.B. Cooper?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I have.
This dude hijacks a plane in 1971 right between Portland and Seattle. Then he strolls up to the counter, cash in hand, buys a ticket. And here we go with the ice machine again. So anyway, he strolls up to the counter, cash in hand, buys a ticket under Dan Cooper. Guy looked like an ordinary businessman. Dark hair, brown eyes, suited up, and gets himself a bourbon and 7-Up once he's on board. Classic. So he's on the Northwest Orient Airlines flight, just chilling, and then hands a note to the flight attendant. She thinks it's just some lonely guy trying to shoot a shot. But the note, he says he's got a bomb. Opens his briefcase, and bam, she sees what looks like dynamite.
Oh my God.
It's crazy, right? So he's calm, cool, collected, wants $200,000, which was a lot of money back then, and 4 parachutes.
What a weird way to rob somebody.
Yeah, but
on a plane?
It's strategy, man. Strategy.
I suppose, but like planes aren't where my mind goes through when it's like, who would have $200,000 first off? Like, why would that be on an aircraft?
I don't know. Because by asking for 2 sets of parachutes, it's like he's saying he might take someone with him.
Yeah.
So no funny business with the chutes. It's smart. They get him his money after circling around Seattle for like 2 hours. So he gets the money somehow. And here's where it gets even more wild. Shortly after taking off again, this guy just jumps out of the plane, parachutes into the night, and poof, vanishes.
Gone.
No trace. Well, except for some of the cash that got found years later by the Columbia River.
Wasn't it Ryan that was saying recently they found some more of DB Cooper's cash?
I believe so, yeah. The FBI went all in trying to figure out who this Cooper guy was, but even after 45 years, it's still a mystery. They think he might not have survived the jump because of the bad weather, his lack of proper skydiving gear, the thick forest he'd be landing in, and the fact that none of the remaining ransom was ever spent. It's one of those stories, man, that just captures the imagination. This whole ordeal literally changed aviation security. They ramped up measures, started checking bags, and even made modifications to Boeing 727s to prevent someone from doing what Cooper did. And to this day, no one really knows who DB Cooper was or what happened to him.
It's impressive to me that, again, that there would have been even, especially back then, $200,000 on this plane collectively. Commercial flights just aren't normally known for just carrying large sums of cash.
But then again, he could have done his research. Like, we don't know.
Maybe he knew something that we didn't.
He could have known that there were certain people on the plane that he needed to be on that specific flight
to get
the money.
That's true.
To make his escape or whatever the case may be. I don't know, but it's crazy. So the search for Cooper began immediately. Inside the aircraft, the FBI discovered Cooper's black clip-on tie, a mother-of-pearl tie clasp, and 2 of the 4 parachutes. The first clues to the man's identity. The area where the aircraft's tail section had pitched upward was carefully inspected for any additional evidence, with the assumption that this was likely when Cooper had made his daring jump. The money bag, which Mucklow had last seen Cooper tying around his waist, was missing. He had not left behind any of the ransom money. Moreover, no traces of the supposed bomb were found on the plane, leading investigators to believe that the hijacker had either taken it with him or it was a fake. Several eyewitness accounts, including Mucklow's, was immediately collected to help create a profile of the suspect. Mucklow's account was deemed crucial due to her extended interaction with the hijacker. And I must have missed the part with Mucklow, putting it in a different spot, but we'll talk about Mucklow in a minute.
Okay.
FBI created composite sketches based on descriptions provided by Mucklow and her and other witnesses on the plane. FBI, man, I'm talking too fast. The FBI launched a massive manhunt throughout the Pacific Northwest and the entire western half of the U.S., utilizing local law enforcement, state troopers, and even military resources. The rugged terrain of the suspected drop zone, combined with the inclement November weather, made the search exceptionally challenging. And I wonder, whoever this DB Cooper was, if he knew all of these things were going to be happening. He knew that the weather was going to be torrential. He knew that it was going to be difficult to do a search. He knew the money was going to be on the plane. All of these things, it's ridiculous. But I mean, if this guy, 45 years later, nobody has found him. I mean, not even like where he jumped, not even finding like a corpse, a body where he didn't make it.
I mean,
you know,
if you're finding remnants of where some of the money was, you would think for sure they would have found human remains at this point.
Or blood, like if something went awry, something. It's crazy. So the following day, a press conference was held where the story of the mysterious hijacker who vanished mid-air with $200,000 was shared with the world. It wasn't long before media outlets picked up the tale, dubbing the figure DB Cooper. His story quickly became a sensation, a mix of mystery, intrigue, and audacity that captured the imagination of millions.
Yeah, I mean, he's largely known as like a legend now.
Mm-hmm. In the subsequent days and weeks, numerous tips poured into the FBI's local offices, with people claiming they saw Cooper or knew his whereabouts. However, most of these tips led to dead ends. Despite the extensive efforts by the authorities, DB Cooper's fate remained shrouded in mystery and his identity unknown. As weeks turned into months and then years, DB Cooper became a legendary legendary figure like we talked about, inspiring countless conspiracy theories, books, documentaries, and even films. Was he an ex-military paratrooper? Did he survive the jump? If he did, where did he go? And where was the money? Some believed he might have perished in the harsh wilderness, while others speculated he might have successfully integrated back into society, enjoying his ill-gotten gains in secret. Despite the best efforts of the FBI and other law enforcement agencies, the case of DB Cooper remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American criminal history.
I have a couple of things to say about this. There's a interesting documentary or docuseries, if you will, on Netflix about DB Cooper. And so there's a bunch of retired detectives, and this may ring a bell, that try to bring up cold cases like this to try and solve them. And they did that with the Golden State Killer, right? The same people that solved that are looking at the DB Cooper stuff too. And that's where I first found out that there were several different people that have admitted to being DB Cooper. They do have a few suspects out of those people where they think it could be true. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you probably have a few of them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But first I want to talk about the physical evidence.
Okay.
So I mentioned the clip-on necktie, right?
Yeah.
So during the aircraft investigation, the FBI found a black clip-on tie on seat 18E, which had been Cooper's. This tie was attached to a gold tie clip and a mother-of-pearl centerpiece, sold exclusively at JCPenney. This tie was discontinued in 1968. DNA traces from this couldn't definitively link anything to Cooper. By 2007, a partial DNA profile was built, but its origins remained inconclusive. The FBI released Cooper's plane ticket, sketches, and other evidence seeking public help. Now, the tie's mysteries. In 2009, the Cooper research team, composed of experts like paleontologist Tom Kay, began examining the tie. They found numerous particles, including lycopodium spores from pharmaceutical sources and traces of titanium and other metals. These clues suggested that Cooper might have had connections with aerospace firms or metal fabrication plants. Notably, pure titanium's presence, rare in the 1970s, hinted at his possible involvement in aircraft production of chemical industries, which this kind of rings
for sure.
It's close to home for you a little bit without going into much details.
Yeah, so that just kind of leads you to believe that he had to have been involved in the commercial aerospace industry to some capacity. That would answer as to why he felt confident in being able to jump out of one of these planes, first off. Because think about it.
That, or he did his research and he visited these places as like a businessman.
So he's done learning. He's done
his research.
Done his homework on this, which leads more credibility to the fact that he probably could have survived.
Other physical evidence was hair samples. The FBI discovered 2 hairs at Cooper's seat. One was rendered unusable, while the other, a Caucasian strand, was preserved for comparisons. Tragically, the sample went missing.
Oh, what?
By 2002.
Dang.
Isn't that kind of crazy?
That is crazy.
Let's see here. Another physical evidence is cigarette remnants. Investigators found 8 Raleigh's cigarette butts in the armrest ashtray of Cooper's seat, which is amazing to me that they allowed smoking on planes.
Back then, yeah.
It's unreal.
I was thinking too, man, think about trying to get on a commercial aircraft today. There's no way they wouldn't know who you are.
Right. Again, going back to the cigarette thing, you can't even take a bottle of water in there now.
Right.
Like you can't even go through security with a bottle of water. Ridiculous.
So I wonder what the requirements for ID were to get on a plane back then. Was he savvy enough to fake his ID too?
Well, they weren't as strict. We know that.
But how?
You didn't. I don't think you had to check bags and stuff.
Then. Were you just I'm flying? See ya.
Yeah. It's I'm hopping on a plane,
like a bus ride
or a train ride or something. Yeah, crazy. So they found cigarette butts in the armrest. Initially sent to retrieve fingerprints, no prints were found. An attempt for DNA extraction in 1998 was thwarted when it was revealed the butts had been mistakenly destroyed.
Golly, man.
Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. We have Austin over there behind the camera just laughing.
He's just laughing because you said the butt was destroyed.
I didn't even think about that, but that's pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. Of course, out of all people, Josh would be saying that. This is a guy that spent literally 20 minutes talking about Mothman's ass.
And
ridiculous.
20 minutes well spent.
Oh my God. Here we go. Other evidence is the ransom money. In 1980, Brian Ingram, a child, found 3 packets of the ransom cash near the Columbia River. These degraded bills, confirmed as part of Cooper's ransom, reignited speculations. Geological evidence complicated matters, suggesting the money arrived at its location after 1974. In 2020, a study revealed the bills had entered the water in spring, months after the hijacking. Ingram later auctioned some bills fetching $37,000.
Oh my gosh. So that kind of makes you think that
he got some money out of that.
Yeah. So there ain't no way, man. If he asked for $200K, something happened. Either he did not survive on the ground because he wouldn't just leave $37,000.
No. He sold the items. Ingram, the child, sold the items later and got $37,000.
Okay.
The 3 packets of cash was found months after the hijacking, and they said that in that area it had to be dropped off like months after the hijacking even happened, which was unreal.
And the cash, according to the FBI website, was only $5,800.
$5,800
that they recovered. Yes.
Okay, so that's not really a lot.
If you had 200,000, like he could have gotten away and was like, "Oh shit, I dropped some. Oh well."
Well, think about the night vision capabilities back then too. I mean, he jumped at night.
Yeah.
Right. So
he wouldn't have been able to just see him.
He probably,
that's a good,
interestingly shot.
That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, it's very likely that if he lost that kind of money, it happened when he landed.
Yeah. Well, and if he,
that is very true.
And if he planned all of this, like it sounds like he did, he knew where he was going to jump. He probably had somebody waiting there for him as a getaway.
Yep.
So
it's more about time and less about looking around for anything.
Absolutely. This would have had to been like a well-coordinated event. You're not just going to do this because I was looking this up when y'all were talking about the hijackings. This has happened quite a bit, but he inspired more of these.
Yeah. So, he inspired a lot of copycats.
Yeah, but he definitely, if he did this, he looked all this stuff up. He had this plan.
It's amazing to me is things like this going on behind the scenes. If he can do something like this, there's countless others that can do much more and get away with it.
So from what I was reading, I was just doing a quick read on it. The people that tried to mimic him, they didn't make it.
The copycats who were copy splat. If they jumped out of planes.
They were the generic versions.
Most of them met their demise in other means, standoffs. So.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. The tangible evidence left behind by Cooper has given investigators and enthusiasts numerous paths to explore, yet the man's true identity and fate remain some of 20th century's most enduring mysteries. It's crazy. So here's some theories real quick. For 45 years, the FBI periodically revealed their hypothesis and preliminary findings from the witness accounts and limited physical evidence. So sketch development. In the investigators' first years, sketches of Cooper was crafted using eyewitness accounts from passengers and crew. The initial sketch, dubbed Composite A, released on November 28, 1971, was humorously likened to Bing Crosby, but wasn't viewed as an accurate portrayal of Cooper. Witnesses described Composite A as showing a younger man with a thin face, quite different from Cooper's nonchalant demeanor. Flight attendant Florence Schaffner emphasized this inaccuracy, saying, "No, this is not an accurate sketch at all." Upon critiques of Composite A second version, Composite B, was made in late 1972 to better capture Cooper's appearance. This version was closer, yet witnesses felt it appeared too aggressive. Some said it resembled a hoodlum, while noting that Cooper had a more refined look, more professional look. Some felt Composite B looked older and paler than Cooper. Addressing these feedbacks, the FBI revisited Composite B, finalizing it in early 1973. By April 1973, the FBI regarded this as their most accurate depiction of Cooper. So I talked about Mucklow earlier. Yeah. It was a flight attendant. She was a flight attendant on the plane. So flight attendants Schaffner and Mucklow's descriptions of Cooper, recorded separately, largely matched. Roughly 5'10", mid-40s, short black hair. olive complexion, weighing 170 to 180 pounds with brown eyes. University of Oregon student Bill Mitchell, who was seated near Cooper, recalled Cooper as slightly shorter than described. Another passenger, Robert Gregory, perceived Cooper to be of Mexican-American or Native American heritage. Some clues suggested Cooper might be an Air Force veteran familiar with Seattle, notably recognizing Tacoma from the air and the distance between McCord Air Force Base and Seattle-Tacoma Airport. Cooper's possible motives ranged from desperation for money to seeking an adrenaline rush. It was like, hey, screw roller coasters. This is fun. Let's do this.
Bored on a Saturday.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to talk about some Cooper's fate, what they think could have happened. And we talked about this and brushed on it a little bit, but we'll talk about it a little bit more. Lack of experience. So Cooper seemed inexperienced in skydiving. As Carr, an FBI agent, commented, no seasoned jumper would have risked such a perilous leap in the dark, rainy night with high-speed winds, wearing unsuitable attire.
See, I have to disagree with that. Maybe that is exactly why he chose it. Was because he is skilled.
Maybe he's skilled enough. He knew that he was going to do this. Yeah. Because again, why would you leap out of a plane with $200,000 if you didn't think? Why would you even take the money? If this was just some fluke where, like, oh crap, I ain't going to make this. This isn't going to happen. Why would you even bother with the money? Like,
so there's so many aspects of this where he clearly did his homework. What makes us think that he wouldn't have done his homework on the parachuting portion of this too?
True.
You see what I'm saying?
He could have already done training and all that. He could have been
doing,
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite certain he could have been doing training on parachuting.
Yeah, so though Earl...
Austin's got something.
Did you talk about Sheridan Peterson?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
No, we'll get
Go
to
ahead.
It. No, go ahead.
I don't know if I even will be bringing this up. I'm not sure. I can't remember if I mentioned it.
All right, so this just published a couple years back. Longtime DB Cooper suspect dies at 94. Once admitted FBI had good reasons to suspect him. They said he was like 98% certain, right?
Yeah.
So Sheridan Peterson was among one of the chief suspects. He was a smoke jumper. He loved skydiving, taking physical risk, and he was also in the Marines in World War II. So there's a lot of things that kind of match up. And if you look at his photo, he kind of matches. Pretty similar to the description, and the age matches as well, where he was like in his early 40s.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Wow.
But he also worked as a technical editor at Boeing in Seattle. So there's a lot of things. The FBI never really wrapped up the case, but they were 98% certain that this guy had it.
Right.
Wow. Huh. That's interesting. So there's a skydiver instructor, Earl Causey, I believe his name is, or Causey. Though Earl Causey, a skydiving instructor, believes someone with a handful of practice jumps might have managed it. He also emphasized the heightened risk involved in nighttime jumps, particularly without proper footwear. Other possible fate could have been inadequate equipment. Cooper seemed ill-prepared for the jump and potential wilderness survival. He lacked protective headgear and braced the chilly wind at 10,000 feet in November over Washington without protection against extreme wind chill. While the exact contents of Cooper's bag remained a mystery, he didn't use them during the hijacking, leading the FBI to speculate it held items needed for the jump, like boots and goggles.
Agreed.
There was no accomplice. There was no evidence to suggest Cooper had someone on the ground to aid his escape. An accomplice would necessitate precise coordination and a fixed flight path, but Cooper had neither. He even changed the flight path during the journey and had no way to communicate these changes to anyone on the ground. Additionally, the challenging weather conditions would have made it difficult for Cooper to navigate.
But did he change the flight path? Was the change that he made supposed to be happening for him?
To me, that would mean that he did coordinate it.
Right.
So, like, hey, I need you to fly this direction at this speed.
Yeah, true, because he knew exactly where
he wanted to be.
He knew exactly he told his accomplice ahead of time, this is where we're going to be. That's bizarre. The unspent ransom, right? The ransom money wasn't used. Carr believed that given Cooper's lack of preparation in challenging conditions, he might not have even deployed his parachute. Some, like FBI agent Richard Tassow, speculated he succumbed to the elements, possibly landing in the Columbia River and drowning. Yet not all FBI agents agreed. Some believed Cooper survived and evaded capture. But, it would make sense if he landed in the river. Most likely you're not going to find him. Especially our degree of being able to find people underwater is still sketchy to this day.
And he could be anywhere.
He could be anywhere in that river, and chances are you wouldn't find him. So that could be something. Interesting Interestingly, though, the period following the Cooper incident saw several similar hijackings, like Austin was talking about. All 5 imitators survived their parachute jumps. These events led some, like FBI agent Ralph Himmelsbach, good God almighty, Himmelsbach, to reevaluate their stance on Cooper's fate. Hijackers like Martin McNally, Frederick Hahnemann, and Richard LaPointe.
I'm just going to go ahead and get it out of the way.
And Richard LaPointe executed jumps under similar conditions and lived to tell the tale. Despite doubts and speculation, no concrete evidence confirmed Cooper's death was ever found.
So that's something interesting. So if all of them survived their flight jumps, then why would we think he didn't? Which it's sounding to me like he's probably has more credentials to have survived. So moving on.
So legal experts in 1976 largely believed that even if the statute of limitations expired, prosecuting Cooper might still be possible due to various legal technicalities. Eventually, an indictment was filed against John Doe, aka Dan Cooper, for air piracy, leaving the case open for future apprehension.
Air pirate.
So here's some suspects in the Cooper case. Over the years, various individuals were suspected of being the infamous D.B. Cooper, but none were definitively proven to be him. Here are some of the notable suspects. Richard Floyd McCoy. Many believed McCoy could be Cooper due to similarities between the Cooper hijacking and McCoy's own 1972 airplane hijacking. However, there were discrepancies in the physical descriptions, and FBI officials have argued that while McCoy was a copycat, he wasn't Cooper. Dwayne Weber. Before his death in 1995, Weber allegedly told his wife, "I am Dan Cooper." His wife later recalled a nightmare where he spoke of leaving fingerprints on a plane. She also found a suspicious old Northwest Airlines ticket and a photo resembling the composite sketch. The FBI, however, didn't find any direct evidence linking Weber to the hijacking. Robert Rackstraw.
Oh, I remember this guy, yeah.
Robert Rackstraw, a former Army paratrooper and ex-convict. Rackstraw became a suspect in the late 1970s.
Yep.
Despite circumstantial evidence in his background, which made him a potential fit, the FBI didn't find conclusive evidence to link him to the crime. Next is Walter Recca. In 2018, a Michigan publisher claimed that Recca was Cooper based on interviews with Recca and alleged confessions. Recca was purportedly a former military paratrooper and experienced skydiver. However, skeptics argue that timeline provided by the publisher didn't align with established facts about the hijacking. Then there's Kenneth Christensen. In 2003, Lyle Christensen believed his late brother Kenneth could be Cooper, approached the FBI. Kenneth had been a former Army paratrooper and later worked for Northwest Orient Airlines. Although the physical description matched and he had spent a significant amount of cash after the hijacking, the FBI couldn't find concrete evidence linking him to the crime as well. And then there's Barbara Dayton, an intriguing suspect. Dayton was a transgender woman who underwent gender reassignment surgery in 1969. Before her transformation as Robert, she was an experienced pilot and paratrooper. She claimed responsibility for the hijacking in the 1970s, stating it was to protest airline security and gender discrimination, but later recanted her confession. Despite numerous theories and suspects, the true identity of D.B. Cooper remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in U.S. history. The FBI officially closed its active investigation into the case in 2016, but the legend of Cooper continues to captivate the public to this day.
This is somebody that I'd like to sit down and have a drink with them just to understand, like, why, or
how,
and
it could be as simple as, hey, I know what I'm doing and I needed the cash.
It could be.
Or this is just one of many hijackings I've done and I'm a millionaire.
That's true too.
So, but anyway, that is some of the story of D.B. Cooper.
Fascinating.
It's fascinating. And, the mystery is still there. We have no idea who this is, have a lot of speculation, but nothing concrete, which means he was either highly successful or, he's in the river somewhere.
But you know what?
He just messed up.
D.B. Cooper will live on forever now.
Yeah. Yeah, the legend of D.B. Cooper for sure.
So but you too can go.
Robert. No, don't promote that. But thank y'all so much. On that note, Thank you so much for listening to the Paranormal Mind Podcast. Go visit our sponsor, aliensodacompany.shop, and become a patron member. Patreon.com/searchersbelieve. We promise we won't promote hijacking in the future. Josh,
if we don't get enough patrons, then I'm going to be DB Cooper.
Don't you admit something like that. Next, you'll see Josh behind bars or something.
Yeah, it's true.
But thank y'all so much for listening. Until the next episode, Searchers out, guys.
See ya.